and the ancestors are looking out for us. God Hayes is exposing them, man.
Okay, you see that chair right there? See how big it is?
Yeah.
Now look at the Pope chair under it. Scroll down, look at the Pope chair under it.
Never have it been made so clear.
Young TV. Young.
We running the game right now.
Young TV.
Time to take over.
Young
We the hottest in the game. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you just not tuned in.
TV.
Share, like on your Instagram, Facebook.
Young TV.
If you tuned in, we broadcasting live from 2030, baby.
Young TV. Young
Taking over the game, baby. Oh yeah.
Young
Hit that like. Hit that like.
Young TV.
Get them likes up in the air, you heard? Get them likes up in the air.
Young TV.
Ride by. Hotel. Islam. Hotel.
Young TV.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Young
Hit that like.
Hey, Rob Bot, we're waiting on Chief to get on right now. Man, we got some bangers for you coming out, man. Look, man, this is another part where we take over the game and reverse the game because they had us thinking when they came over here, we was living in teepees, right? That we was in teepees and in thongs and with spears and bow and arrows. And that's so far from the truth, it's not even funny, man. That's the storyline they want to paint from all of these movies in Hollywood that we wasn't a high-powered civilization. Why? Because it would justify them enslaving us, right? Because the word Indian really means without God, according to what the Ducateers, the linguistics, says. And so therefore, it stands to reason under the Spanish Inquisition and Doctrine of Discovery and all these other Papist bulls, when they came over to run their game, that they said that these people were people without God, not they God, because we had our own gods, right? Not they God. We had they God was Jesus. They came with a Jesus God. And so if we ain't have Jesus, then we must be without God, Indians, according to what the Ducateers is spitting. Now, what we brought you here today, we just put out the AI on the video side about the world's fastest coverup. Now, okay, wait till Chief get on because we're gonna break a lot of this down. But it seems to me that we building a timeline on them, and about around 1789, when they hijacked the Constitution and created the Judicial Act, and then created this federal jurisdiction, and then in 1789, when they created the Residential Act, and they created the Patent Act, and they created the Copyrights Act, this is where the games began to switch hands. Before we get into the World Fair cover, right? Because once they got a hold of the patents and the copyrights, that gave them the action on the building layout blueprints to all of these ancient buildings that we had the layouts to, right? So all of this is going to tie into this class. That also gave them access to our maps, our ancient maps that we had laid out, the Copyright Act and these patent acts. Also, the technology that we had, this particular mechanism in 1790 was to capitalize off of our ancient technology, which we had over here already prior to them coming. He go, Rod, right here. We're about to get it cracking, y'all. The chief in the building. Hold on. I got you, Rod. Okay, how you do it? Okay, there you go. Hey,
What's up,
chief in the
man?
building. Hey, hey, Rod. We got, hey, Rod. You know, every time we come on, man, it's another one. You know what I'm saying? This is notice the agent, notice the principal. Let the record show, let the record reflect that we on to the game, man. We on to the game now. On the big switch. I got so many good clips, man. It's gonna be crazy.
I'm just waiting to see what kind of show you direction is going. Hey, I got some feedback. I gotta go out and come back in there.
Go ahead. Yeah, but y'all, so we laid down the game plan and we see that the 1790 is a critical point, right? To where they was able to gain, like I say, our maps, hold of our books, pretty much our whole system of education and our system of knowledge by creating all of these acts and keep in mind, technically acts are not laws because a lot of them acts they created is unconstitutional. Right? He go, wait on Chief to come back. He had to click off and come back in. So a lot of those acts are unconstitutional. And pretty much everything from 1790 or 1789, once they hijacked the Constitution, they called it ratified, which is a slick way of saying hijack. Ratified is another slick way of saying hijack. So once they hijacked us, here go Chief again. Hold on. Check.
Check. Oh yeah, we good now. It's on your end now. I thought that was me. Let me look in the comments and see what y'all got going on down here while y'all are doing that. Running the game up in this mofo. OCO tribes, all tribes on deck. Yep, blood moon rising. Or the song say the bad moon rising.
Is it still doing it?
Yep. Look, people worry about us being misnomered. And they say, don't use this term. Don't use this term. Don't say you Indian, say you Moor. Don't say you Moor, say you African American. Don't say you African American, say you Black. We in a cycle. We looking at a flip, monkey flipping in one spot. That's not no kind of. Oh, you still got it going on. Yeah? That's just one place that we all at right now. It's one thing we know. Mississippi clay dirt walking, Alabama clay dirt walking, Arkansas clay dirt walking, Louisiana clay dirt walk. We all know that part. We all know we organic original to the land. So we can let other people fight over what they want to call us until we tell them to call us. But when it comes time for us to get our stuff back, none of those misnomers, whichever one they is going to be an obstacle or barrier. They still got to give it back. Their time is up. As John Cena would say, our time is now for the C Nation. So while we sitting here and we worrying about who's saying this, who's saying that about what we should be called, don't even worry about that. We can argue. That's something that we can argue from now until the earth disintegrate from old age. And that's going to be a long time. We can argue those terms and what this one mean. Indian mean more than autonomous, and the more mean that's who we really are. We don't care about none of that. Everybody had a different way of identifying who we were and who we are. The most 90% of what we call ourselves today is exonyms. They the name somebody else gave us. So while we trying to recover our historical memory, and they fighting over scraps, let them fight over the name. And they had the names. They can't take away the reality that we standing here looking at you in your face. We looking at you. We watching you, watching us, while you telling us who you think we is. Right? And then you got some of us just taking sides with some of y'all telling us who we is to tell us that we who y'all say we is. No. We got a right to self-determination, autonomy. We sovereign on the land, but we not sovereign under Admiralty and Maritime. That's what we got to get under control. Admiralty and Maritime was during the duration of the George Washington Challenge. That's a contract. All contracts got a time limit. And they be putting in those people contracts in perpetuity, forever and ever, into all eternity. They can't put that in your contract. They can't. They not gonna be here to honor that part of the contract. Nor will you be here to receive the benefit from your part. If they put you in one of them contracts, you already know it's a fraud, because nobody can hold your intellectual property until creation disintegrates from old age, and that's going to be a long time. So they can't tell you that. And they contract with us is up. They came over here and they thought that we was some country bumpkins, that we didn't know what we was doing and we didn't know what we was talking about. They wouldn't let us learn how to read their languages. They wouldn't let us learn to write them until they changed everything around. And then they said, okay, now that we done changed everything around, y'all can learn something now. But we were still teaching each other over here, because we didn't use books to teach our children. We used real life. We taught them sex education by watching the animals on the farm. See what that boy doing right there, boy? When you get to be a man, how what you gonna be doing too? See what that rooster doing right there? When you get to be a man, that's what you gonna be doing too. Well, what he doing? You figure it out when you get a little older. But we always taught our children, you see this herb right here? This daughter dandelion, this could clean your liver out. You see this herb right here? This herb is called marijuana. This one is to help you go crazy so you can see yourself insane. You got to see how insane you is by going crazy. Because you ain't normal dealing with these people we dealing with. So we going to give you this Mary Jane. You going to puff on a couple puffs of this, and then it's going to show you what they trying to hide from you out in the open. See that nicotine? That like when them boys be making them beats and the music sound erratic, they got to put it through the compressor. See, that's what the nicotine do to the marijuana. Put it through the compressor, make it be more balanced. And that's when you can start to use it to your advantage. We use nature to teach the children. We ain't need no damn books, but books are good though, because they got some good reading. And every time you read something, you pick up somebody else's life perspective and perspective on life, which gives you another glimpse from another degree of perception. When you start off, you blind and don't even know that. Why you can see. You intellectually blind, but you're not visually blind. But as you wake up from the slumber, you will start seeing different things, and then you'll start asking questions. Remember when Pac say even the genius asks questions, don't settle for less? That's why he's telling you that. As the people that's raising these new genius children, what we need to know, they smarter than us. And the stuff that we use is putting brakes on their intelligence. The stuff we was reared in is going to try to put brakes on their intelligence. They not buying it. The only way that you could teach somebody smarter than you is to encourage them to learn everything they can and turn their ass loose on the library. And that's the only way somebody smarter than you can use what you can teach them life lessons. But their mind can be expanded by absorbing all that other information. And the more information they absorb, You not gonna know what your child talking about. My mom and dad didn't know what I was talking about half the time, and if I wasn't talking about what was common to the household. If I started talking about MK Ultra and government programs, COINTELPRO, Rex 84, they don't know what the hell I'm talking about. They didn't do the research on that. They have no knowledge of it. So they don't have no way of telling me if I'm right or wrong. I gotta figure it out. And my mom used to always tell me, well, you figure it out, you're smart enough. I used to be telling her, Mama, I ain't that damn smart. Mic check, L, see what you do. You on mute.
Hey. Yo.
Sound good, L. Sound good.
That's great.
Yep. You clear now.
Like echo. What is doing that?
Do you hear echo on your end?
Yeah, but I mean,
I don't hear one like you did when I went out earlier and came back.
Yo. So we found out 19. Yeah, it's still echoing on. How long, Raw? Let me get out and come back in. That's crazy, man.
So Elder want to talk about world fairs. And the world fairs are demonstrations. The world fair is an exhibit where you have all these different things on display to show you what is part of your future. These are the new scientific discoveries. These are the new architectural designs. But when you look at the photographs from the world's fairs, you'll see the cities over here have always been developed. The Atlantis was so far back, and this is what we keep, because we're looking at everything from this timetable, from the Julian calendar, the Gregorian calendar. Some of us might even look to the Greek calendar or Roman calendar, Egyptian calendar. All of the calendars it's over 40 calendars in use right now. That's 40 different timelines that's overlapping and operating at the same time, because time is all things are now. So you look at time like a building and life like you living it in an elevator. All of the times is right here, just you in one building called time, Kalisma, right? And in this building, when you take the elevator, the faster you go up, the farther you go forward. But don't let the elevator take you down, because then you start sliding backwards, what they call backsliding, returning to the state in which the prophet found you, so to speak. Do mic check, L.
Mic check.
You sound good on this end.
That bitch said it's gonna buy. I could deal with it. That's crazy, man. Yeah, but this way we found out, Rod. They hijacked the Constitution in 1789, created the Judicial Act. Then they started creating all these copyright patents. In 1790, Copyright Acts. And then they was able to get the patents to the land. Right? And off of that, it seemed like the first World Fair exhibition was in 1853 in New York. And then from there, boom, they started going on some kind of campaign. Somebody said Elder sound like
Which device you on, L? You might have to
phone.
restart your phone and come back in.
All right.
Because that worked for me before. I don't know if it's gonna work, but it might. All right. So while Elder doing that, I'm gonna anybody got any questions while he doing that? In the comments, I'm looking at the comments now. Don't worry, you get it together. I think he just need to restart his phone, because if I would have still heard the echo when I came back here from my end, that's what I was gonna do. Yeah, so when you license something, a license is permission to do something that's otherwise illegal. So why would it be illegal to drive? Why would it be illegal to go fishing? Why? Well, I can understand you need a liquor license because liquor was prohibition, illegal. But the licensing is to give you permission to do something that's illegal with the government's permission. You allowed to do it, right? So that in and of itself is fraud. They can't tell the tribes of the land that they can't live like the tribes of the land. That don't even make sense, right? Where do West Indians fit in the Moorish history? All other lands where you got heavily melanated people in the Americas got both the tribes and the dirty Moors all mingled together. The George Washington challenges covered all of the Americas, even though the battleground, or what we call ground zero, was the United States. So every tribe, when you talk about Maroons, you're talking about they was originally Gullah Geechee. They became Maroons later on, but we don't know who they are like that because they got the slave narrative being ran. Then you got black slave owners and you got crackers that they say is owning the slaves. Then you got the Gullah Wars in Florida going heavy, hot and heavy. All this stuff is happening, and it's happening conversion on the same time frame from like the 1800s. 1776 to 1976 was supposed to have been the duration of the contract. But it took us the War 1812, which broke the agreement because we wasn't educating ourselves above the condition. We was trying to be angry as we are. So when we fought them in 1812, that gave them the extension to 2012. And that's why Elijah Muhammad said the devil got an extension. This is what he's talking about. He dropped so many codes and everybody keep taking all of the elders' information so literal that now all they can do is try to pick apart what they perceive as flaws. They couldn't outright tell us stuff. They couldn't directly say stuff. They couldn't directly point the finger at the enemy because it was getting too many of us murdered because the dirty Moors was cheating. And the righteous ones, they was all fighting under the Moorish banner. The M-U-U-Rs and the M-A-U-R-I, Moray, which is also called Morenos. They were grouped together. The M-U-U-Rs and the Morenos, Moriscos, all grouped them together because they looked alike. And it said, since y'all motherfuckers so smart, we gonna see if you can educate yourself out of this condition. And that's why you have people like Noble Ali say, I'm gonna leave these people in power long enough for you to run the government. What else he say? I'm gonna make the European tell you the truth. We thought he was talking about pale-faced Europeans, but that's another story. But then you got Marcus Garvey. Right? Marcus Garvey came in, read the ledgers, and he was like, even if it take 200 years, we coming. You can't beat us. You can't win. It's a no-win situation. We got the baddest motherfuckers ever born over here. That's like a mortal thinking he gonna defeat God. It's not gonna happen. It's not possible. The intellectual difference is so vast. It's like a second grader trying to explain physics to a college professor. He can't do it. Right? He got to develop his mathematical prowess to the degree of a college professor in order for the college professor to understand what he's talking about. Different language. That's why when you talk about I be seeing people all the time. They was talking Masons this, Masons that, Masons this. They not all the same. That's why you got so many different sects, just like you got in the church. And anything not founded on the truth is gonna have to splinter, right? And then if you get infiltrated, you're gonna have to splinter. Because you're gonna have to get the fleas off the dog before you go bring him to somebody else's house. So then you'll see the Nation of Islam fail. Barfdeen Muhammad he had the nation in his hands. He had traveling bus lines, the Star and Crescent bus lines. He had the national bakeries. He had the newspaper printing press. We didn't have a lot of newspapers and stuff, and now he getting rid of one of them. The Muhammad Speaks. When you look at all the structure that Elijah Muhammad set up, it was set up just like the tribes used to be. And his discipline is so strict because the dirty Moors hate that shit. Right? The righteous Moors, he'll accept the discipline because it's going to facilitate his growth. The dirty Moors don't like that. When you start trying to facilitate their growth and trying to tell them that it's certain stuff that we don't allow you to do, now they going to get mad at them. They going to hate the person whose house they in for having rules in their house. Right? So we had to understand they can't tell us everything the same. They couldn't tell you who Big Mama was, so they had to leave it to you in a code. Right? I hear people, let me see what they say. People call Farrakhan the agent. Here go the thing. Farrakhan, they've been attacked by the government multiple times that y'all probably ain't even aware about. They tried to kill Farrakhan on at least 8 occasions. Why is they trying to kill him? If he an agent. Just because somebody had longevity at doing their life work, don't make them an agent. But the person that's telling you that you not who you are, and they not being true to what they teaching, them the ones that's the frauds. Them the infiltrators and agent provocateurs. If Malcolm didn't come to me and counsel me about Farrakhan, I wouldn't stand up for him right now because I didn't know no different. But Malcolm came, they said Malcolm, because I said the only person can tell me, because I didn't want to work with Farrakhan because I was like, they was behind Malcolm. And I said, the only person can tell me different is Malcolm X. So he gave me the whole rundown. Guys I was locked up with, I've been out of prison almost 20 years. And guys I was locked up with, to tell you, I said, if 3 people went to prison for shooting Malcolm, and only one of them was an actual shooter. And it just came out when they released the FBI files on him. When his daughter suing their ass because they was under. I said the other two guys is punished for what the police did, the federal government, the feds. Them niggas was the government. Them niggas was the feds. We keep forgetting that the original so-called Jew that called everybody else Goyim was dark-skinned, nappy-head Negroes. And them the same ones that call themselves Etruscans, Venetians, they became Ottomans, right? They told y'all that they went to Europe to civilize Europe. No, they goddamn didn't, because they wasn't civilized when they got kicked out. And they was there for 711 years. And if you the civilizer and you get kicked out by the people you supposed to be civilizing, and they still have uncivilized traits, then somebody making some shit up somewhere. Right? So the ones that's in the secret relation between blacks and Jews, the ones that book, the Jewish onslaught is about, Them nappy head Negroes that went down on the islands and they don't want to be part of the tribes on the island, so they set up their little villages and make it look segregated. Because they, you know, weird. They not like us. And so when we looking at this stuff, we got so many different viewpoints and we not taking each other's. We don't see what you see, so therefore you got to be wrong and I got to be right. That's not how it works. Depending on the direction or angle you're looking at it, you're going to describe it different. I ain't never heard tell a group of people see something and they all tell the exact same story with no variation, word for word. It don't happen. It's not going to happen. You got a different perception. When you read your books, you're gonna learn according to your learning style. Everybody don't have the same learning style. Everybody don't have the same intellectual capacity. So we have to remember this stuff when I don't group all of the Moors together. The ones I hate we call them dirty Moors. All of the Moors in the Moorish Science Temple know what a dirty Moor is, even the dirty Moor. Right? I don't have no problem with the rest of them. I wouldn't be speaking up for Angel Bay if I had a problem with all Moors. I wouldn't be quoting Pleasant Bay. I wouldn't be quoting Charles Mosley Bay. I wouldn't be quoting Taj Tariq Bay. I wouldn't be quoting C. Freeman Neal. I wouldn't be quoting Noble Jew Ali if I had a problem with everything Moor. That's not the issue. We use the term Moor to fight the war. And under the banner Moor, it's also where you get your NIGGERs. It's all grouped together. They didn't go in there NIGGER. They went in NAGAS. But when you put the Southern drawl to it for people that don't speak our language, they can't say Nagas, so they say Nagar, which evolved in the niggas. Yep, the issue is dirty Moor, dirty hand, black hand. The ones that's going around putting their hands in all of the pots of everything we try to build and anything we build that they can't control, they got to destroy it and tell you it was the glory of their ancient history. This is where you get to your Tartarian misnomer of Tartarus. Right? This is where you get your Hyperborea, which means a whole lot of light. Makes no sense. Right? Then you get to your Atlantis comes from the Great Atlan. Atlantis is the Europeanized version of Atlan. When we looking at stuff, we can't neglect that somebody else has a different perspective. And if you can't see it from their perspective, you can't tell them they wrong. Right? But if you can see both sides, then you can say, I think you're wrong because this point, and this point don't match up when you said this point, and this point. So that means that what you're saying can't be accurate. It's an error somewhere. So let's resolve the error. But that's for another time. Right now, we just trying to get from under the usufruct. The original Atlan was a global united Earth. To say when under the Great Atlan, you had other civilizations with different names. You had like Mu and Lemuria. Mu is actually an island that is the capital of the Lemurian part of a civilization of that time frame. The Great Atlan is like the United Nations over those other civilizations, right? And the way that we look at it, Agartha is a city in the earth. It's in the big ass center of the earth, in a big ass cave, so to speak. The same with Shambhala. They still running just like they always been running. right? The land of Nud, Nuttermud. Nuttermud was a name, one of the Inky names. So when you saying the land of Nod, you're really saying the land of Inky. And then when you saying it was east of Eden, Eden means the den. Den, the den, right? It's like when they put E in front of L to make it L in Spanish, the E is the prelude to the, right? But it's linguistically transferred from one language to another. And then you have to add something called a preface to it, right? So instead of saying e pluribus unum, which is Latin, you will say the plural is one. It means the same thing. The plural becomes one. They say e pluribus unum, and translated out of many comes one. But out of many what? Many tribes. We all have to figure this out together. Ain't nobody more important or less important than nobody else. If we all working together, we're going to be working on different parts of the problem. And as long as we working on different parts of the problem, if you specialize in your part, somebody can learn effectively the part that you specialize in, even if the rest of your shit is wrong. Right? So we have to be more understanding of how people learn information before we can effectively communicate information. People got a whole lot of opinions about people they ain't never met. Half the people called a fair kind of agent ain't never sat that man table and ate dinner with him and had a discussion to find out where his heart was at. Probably 99% of them. Right? It's the same with people that call Martin Luther King an agent. Martin Luther King wasn't an agent. He was what you call a dupe, which is worse. That means you don't even know you working for your enemy. If you're an agent, you fully aware you working with your enemy. But when you a dupe, you don't know until somebody hip you to the game. And that's a great meet. So we quick to point people out and say he ain't do this or he ain't do that. Well, what you want him to do? What you doing? D-U-P-E, dupe. Duke, John Wayne. John Wayne was passing, y'all. I'm telling on his ass because he was spewing that racist rhetoric like he ain't like black people. Babe Ruth was passing. Babe Ruth ain't even hang out with pink people. Whole lot of them. Elvis was passing. Elvis' mama was an octoroon. All of the ones that won, if they won a Oscar between 1955 and 95. With the few exceptions of the ones, I think at that time only was Hattie McDaniel was the only sister that had won one. And Sidney Poitier was the only brother had one up until I think it was Denzel was the next one to win. Yeah, John Wayne was passing. You know, my man that played Charles Bronson is passing too. Charles Bronson get in the sun, he started turning chocolate brown. A lot of them. Marilyn Monroe, yep. And that's why the FBI killed her. They ain't want nobody, they didn't want them to tell that John was dating a nigger. Let's check your sign, else we can get on with the show. You on mute.
Hey, am I still echoing?
Now you real low. But that could be me. Let me check.
Yo.
Oh yeah, you sound good now.
It's still a fucking echo though. Like I don't know why I was doing it. Like
Did you have your
Try to get off and come back on. Let me see something real quick.
Okay.
Yo, microphone check, microphone check. Yeah, see now it ain't doing it now. Can y'all hear me? Yo, yo, yo. Now it ain't doing it, Rod.
You sound
Can you
good
hear
to
me?
me. I don't got no feedback either.
Yeah, so now it ain't doing. Yeah, so now we can get it cracking. I guess they tried to sabotage us, man, because they know we on them, right?
And you going in and out on this end now.
But let's roll some of this beautiful beam footage. Like I said before, they was messing. They said they ratified the Constitution, but they really hijacked it in 1789, and then from there, they started taking all of our blueprints to our ancient buildings. They got us under the impression that we was in teepees and thongs, and we had spears and bow and arrows when they came over here.
But
Could you go in before I play some of these clips on?
I got one thing to say about what you just said right quick. They say that we was dressed in thongs, but they've been dressing in New Orleans in suits that was made different from European style suits long before they ever seen a European. New Orleans always had. New Orleans was the hub, the mecca of the land, right? For a long time after we moved from them pyramids in Central America, it was New Orleans. The NO was the spot, and you had to go to talk to the big mamas in the NO to get your temperament check so they'll know whether to send you east or west. Because if they sent you out west and you ain't got the right temperament, you was going to be food for the wolves, so to speak. Brother Cornell, you on mute.
Let's get some of this corn roll, man.
Roll a couple
of them back to back.
What they called the World's Fair was actually the bragging of them taking over empires and cities that they did not know how to control in particularly, but were able to inhabit after the resets and that what they called the World's Fair was actually the bragging of them taking over empires and cities that they did not know how to control in particularly, but were able to inhabit after the resets and after the wars. From Chicago to St. Louis, to San Francisco, to Buffalo, New York, the empires were taken over one by one. And they would showcase these expositions to their citizens that they had inhabit the new cities. And they would tell them about future things to come. But this was the takeover. And it should be noted that all these people you're seeing in the pictures are not from here. These are people that were brought here to America to inhabit the cities and take over the empires. So they were wearing the clothing and just the identity of our people. When they took over these cities, they took over everything, the clothing, just the entire network. And they were shipping these people into America from these countries to take over. And this is where you get your stories about the orphan trains, where 200,000 to 300,000 European children from all over were being transported into cities to take over the neighborhoods and, take over the jobs and to get parents, some European people who wanted to adopt them into these cities and give them new identities. And this is how we got the theory that a lot of the Europeans are clones and that they come from, these Cabbage Patch children, these incubators from the World's Fair, that they were genetically modified to take over and to be fed a false narrative about how they inherited these great cities and to believe that they were the actual descendants of this great power. And this was done all over what now known as America to take the empire from the children of the sun.
It was about taking control. It was about taking control, tearing down the old world of self-sufficiency to make way for a new empire of debt. With the North American heartland scorched, the architects of deception turned south, targeting the old world infrastructure of the southern United States. In 1883, the Southern Exposition in Louisville became a stage for their illusion, a dazzling display of Edison's light bulbs, promoted as progress. But this light was a downgrade, replacing free, ambient energy with a controlled, metered system. The Louisville Fair marked the first step in leading the South into a new kind of darkness, by selling the illusion of light. Each exposition served the same dark purpose: to identify, catalog, showcase, and then obliterate the remaining infrastructure of the Moorish Old World. The bankers and their agents used the fairs as a cover to gain access to these ancient sites, to map their energetic properties and to schedule their systematic demolition. The public, distracted by parades and technological novelties, never saw the wrecking crews waiting in the wings. People watched as magnificent halls that had stood for generations were torn down, believing they were simply clearing away a disposable movie set. This process was honestly a physical and cultural cleansing. By destroying them, the elite were not just removing evidence of the past, they were disabling the old grid. They were unplugging the region from its source of free, natural energy, making it completely dependent on the new, monopolized systems of coal, oil, and electricity. It was in effect a technological lobotomy performed on an entire landscape. It was about taking control, tearing down the old world of...
Do you think our history is a lie? Well, I do. What if I told you this was Chicago in the early 1900s? Would you believe me? It seems right. Horse and buggy, old buildings, not paved roads. That's what I guess Chicago looks like. But what if I told you that this picture is also Chicago, but from the 1800s? Something doesn't add up, right? Because these pictures and a whole lot of other ones are taken from the 1893 Chicago World's Fair. Pictures so glorious, you can't even begin to imagine how this was built in the late 1800s. And not only do they have these buildings in the late 1800s.
What if the history you were taught is a lie? What if the grand monuments of our cities are not what they seem? A lost civilization once thrived. Masters of architecture, science, and energy, their world was erased, their knowledge buried. A powerful few rewrote history, hiding the truth to control us. The world's fairs were not celebrations. They were funerals. They were not showcases of new inventions, but the final public cataloging of a technology that was about to be extinguished. The magnificent structures, the so-called white cities, were not temporary illusions made of plaster and wood. They were the authentic stone and marble remnants of the advanced civilization that preceded us. They were the power stations, the civic centers, and the temples of the Moors, standing for centuries before the fairs ever opened their gates to an unsuspecting public. This was deception on an unimaginable scale. The very concept of progress was weaponized. While presenting primitive technologies like the steam engine as the pinnacle of innovation, the elite were systematically dismantling a far superior system of wireless, free energy. They created a narrative that humanity was just emerging from darkness, while they simultaneously plunged the world into a new dark age. An age of pollution, of fossil fuels, and of metered energy that could be controlled and monetized. The world's fairs were the stage upon which this grand illusion was performed. The serpent was in the garden, and it was ready to strike. The blueprint for annihilation was a multi-generational plot. Infiltrate, suppress, and erase a civilization so completely that no one would remember it existed. Ancient marvels were destroyed, their history rewritten, and the world watched, even applauded, its own cultural erasure. These were not accidents, they were strategic acts of arson. A controlled burn of history itself, designed to wipe the slate clean for the bankers' New World Order. Blueprints of ancient buildings, historical documents describing the previous civilization, and patents for suppressed technologies all vanished in the smoke. This systematic destruction of information ensured that future generations would have no official records to consult. History could be rewritten on a blank page, with the bankers holding the pen.
Let's talk about this because this is not spoke about a lot. In this day and age, people would rather tour a destroyed old civilization than build a future civilization. You know how many people go to the pyramids every year? But how many people are out here building pyramids? Imagine if that same time and energy spent on traveling and touring to these destinations, we spend that allocating time and energy to building the future destinations. In a capitalistic society, they want you to be a tourist, not a builder. So that's why I became a builder.
Know that these buildings were not actually temporary because some of them still stand.
What if the history you were taught is a lie? What if the grand monuments of our cities are not what they seem? A lost civilization once thrived, masters of architecture, science.
So people, this is the golden statue. And what they show online is always the front. But they never show the rear part. On the rear, if you look closely, it says the World's Columbian Exposition authorized by Act of Congress and generously participated in by the nations of the earth, was held here in 1893 to celebrate the 400-year anniversary of the discovery of America. On this site stood the administration building. Now, why they use 400 years from 1492? Because 400 years celebrates the conquering of the last Moorish stronghold empire. Again, exposition meaning inquisition, conquest. So, but on the front of this is called the Republic.
In this episode, we will discuss the bizarre World's Fairs exhibits that became defined as the incubator babies, which became a socio-cultural aspect of American society and mainland Europe from the 14th of July 1853 to the 26th of April 1895. When you look at historical narratives of Western science, you will discover that there are some huge events that have happened that are never discussed. One such event is called the Orphan Train movement, which was a welfare program that transported over 250,000 children, with claims the number was actually over 540,000. on locomotive carriages from crowded urban areas in the eastern United States to foster homes in the Midwest United States. It was claimed that these infants had been orphaned, abandoned.
If you were a guest at the 1893 Chicago World's Fair and wasn't murdered by serial killer H.H. Holmes, these are some of the things you would have seen. First off, the train that took you to the World's Fair was most likely being conducted by a fellow named Casey Jones. At the fair, you would have seen the very first performance of the Pledge of Allegiance, a performance by a very young Harry Houdini, and a few companies introducing products for the very first time. Some of those products were Juicy Fruit, Pabst.
Have you heard of the World's Fairs? The World's Fairs might be some of the most mysterious events in the entire history of man. These were gigantic, grand-scale events with grand-sized buildings. In the case of the St. Louis Fair, you had over 1,200 buildings. In fact, some of these were the largest recorded buildings in history at the time, which begs the question, how did they create such an event in record times, in 1 to 2 years? How did they build the buildings, the canals, the roadways, the walkways, the columns, the arches, the pillars, everything? How did they build everything in a year or two and make it look absolutely spectacular? And history will tell us that this is all made of plaster and hemp. In the modern day, these events will cost several $100 million based on their original expenses. But for temporary buildings, why do they have lightning rods? Why are they so big? Many believe these were cities that were found and destroyed by the new population.
Imagine a spectacular celebration of innovation and progress in the early 20th century. Welcome to the Pan American Exposition of 1901, held in Buffalo, New York. Stretching across 350 acres, this mesmerizing fair united the Americas, promoting culture and technology. Its crown jewel? The electric tower is standing 391 feet tall, dazzling visitors with over 200,000 incandescent bulbs. A breathtaking marvel of the age. The expo highlighted groundbreaking inventions like the X-ray machine and the wireless telegraph. Visitors marveled at the wonders of electricity, from electric fountains to illuminated buildings. One standout attraction was the Miracle of Light exhibit, showcasing Nikola Tesla's high-voltage spectaculars. Yet, amidst the grandeur, tragedy struck. President William McKinley was assassinated here, casting a shadow over the expo's legacy. Despite this, the Pan American...
The method was always the same. A grand, impossibly large structure, a survivor from the previous age, would be designated as the main exhibition hall.
Come back to Mo. Hey, Rod, so as I do the, let me just, I'll say this, then you could go off. So I noticed the first between, it's about 60 some years in between the time where they steal the copyrights and all the land patents and all that, essentially 1790 when the George Washington Challenge, up into the first World Fair in America, which is in Philadelphia. Well, it eventually right after the fair, the thing, they burn it down. It burned down. What's your take on that, Rod? All of these, a fair happening, they putting stuff inside the building, and then right after the fair, it gets demolished or burned down. Starting with Philadelphia first. Why would they start with Philadelphia first?
Okay, look, you remember I referred you a while ago to this book called I-9 Returns and I-9 Hyperluminal. It's a 2-part book series.
Yeah, I got it.
And, okay, now in the second book, I-9 Hyperluminal, she's telling the story about when the Galactic Federation encountered the war that the Anunnakis was fighting against each other on Earth and put us in what we call the Pleiadian light lock, right? It's a resonance field, right? For easier understanding of what I'm talking about, research the Van Allen belt, right? Now, in the course of events following the lockdown, they decided, these people called Anunnaki in the story decide to crash civilization so that they can do evolution and re-evolve all over again. And they only do it every like couple hundred years, 500 years, sometimes it's 300, sometimes it's, but the most consistent number they use is 250. 250 years, right? When you go back and you look at the parts of the Roman Empire after Rome fell, nothing has existed as a continuous civilization without being interrupted longer than 250 years. Who's ever the world power, they got 250 years. It just so happened that at the dawning of the new age, America turns 250 years old. And they've been telling us about the New World Order, but we not paying attention to America was called the New World. And the New World Order was literally the fight for America that was taking place between these two groups of melanated people. The referees put in charge was initiates into these brotherhoods that was being taught to referee the fight by keeping us contained, redlining, right? Keeping us contained in a certain area where we stuck together, redlining, right? Community suppression. They're not supposed to let us have access to no wealth because we was all filthy rich on both sides of the struggle. So this put us in what's called the warlock. Warlock is not a person. Warlock is the condition where Big Mama close her coffers while we fight a conjure war. The conjure war is fought between wizards and witches and sorcerers and sorceresses. The wizards and witches normally work for what we call the right-hand path, the good side, the righteous ones. And normally the sorcerers and sorceresses work for the left-hand path. Now, there's two forms of magic. Aleister Crowley was a master of left-hand path, right? Madame Blavatsky was a master of the right-hand path. Aleister Crowley said that he was deliberately and intentionally trying to put all of the secrets of the secret societies into the public domain. Somebody else was doing it before him. Somebody else told us before Crowley that I didn't rip the covers off the secret societies. Right? All of their secrets is now in the public domain. You remember who said that, El?
Was it Drew?
Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Yeah.
Now, we have some people that want to dispute the term prophet, right? But it was a little youngster up at the Million Man March named Brother Prophet that was spit. So we can't be done with prophets. Because they say out of the mouth of babes, right? And he's up there, he was like 11 years old at the Million Man March. Remember the little boy, Brother Prophet, right?
Yeah, I gotta go check that.
Yeah. So we couldn't be done with prophets. The church got them. Why the church can have prophets, but Noble Drew Ali can't be a prophet?
Right.
Why the evangelists gotta come in and collect all of the money to come in and be a prophet for the Lord? And Noble Drew Ali was building businesses for his people. But we can't call him a prophet. We can call this charlatan a prophet. Don't nobody contest that. But when somebody trying to help a whole mass of people break free, we can't call him a prophet. I'm gonna call him Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and then who don't like it just don't like it. He not my chief. You gotta understand that. But above all, truth is truth, and what's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. So I'm gonna call him Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and I'm gonna call Marcus Garvey the Honorable Marcus Garvey. And
that's right. We
not paying attention to who they was beefing with, because we was so distracted by civil rights struggle and Jim Crow struggles. We didn't have time to sit back and examine the community that we in, because there's no way that the people that they telling me holding us hostage can have the mental acumen to hold the gods hostage. It's just don't function like that. Right? That's like telling me a pack of ants held the elephant down.
Yeah.
That don't make sense. The logic is not, the math not mathing. So now when you looking at, okay, we had elders and teachers that don't nobody like to talk about, like Superman the Man, J.A. Rogers, one of the coldest books that should be preferred reading for every teenage male from our hood, from our walk of community, because the book shows you the importance of being educated and knowledgeable about what you're talking about, right? Then he also wrote Nature Know No Color, Rhyme, Sex, and Race. He wrote those to tell you that y'all being tricked. Ain't got nothing to do with skin color. Stop looking at skin color and look at character. Income Martin talking about a content of character. What the hell is they talking about? When you got two different groups of people from two different walks of life, they not gonna have the same traits. The word characteristics, the root word is character. right? Characteristics is how you determine what type of person you're dealing with, right? So, everything was being done to erase the historical narrative from before they came. Start the narrative at bondage servitude. Pick up the story, group us together, and make us see if we can educate ourselves out the condition. But first, they got to change the history, so they got to stop us from reading and writing until we all equally illiterate. And that's why they persecuted and prosecuted Bill Cosby. And it had nothing to do with no 40-year-old rape cases on no sluts. That had nothing to do with it. If you listen to them from a forensic point of view, you would know they reading the script. On that panel, they had, who was that? Gayle King host that? That panel of women that was saying that Bill Cosby was putting drug in them and shit. Like, why you wait 50 years to say something?
Right.
Right. Then how did y'all get together 50 years later? But was that a plan back in the 70s that we gonna meet up in 50 years and we gonna tear his ass up? He didn't have an issue until he went on Oprah and explained what he was saying. And he said that we not holding up our end of the bargain. We not properly educating children in order to win this race. What the f is Bill talking about? What is he talking about? What bargain?
Right.
What kind of bargain could it be that we not holding up our end by educating our children? And the only one I was able to pull up on record that I could see it was the George Washington Challenge. And then they got one called the Secret Oath from the Rockefellers. Between the two of them, one of the things that they emphasized in both of them was the suppression of their education. That means we had to take it up on ourselves to educate our own children, but we let the enemy educate our children, or should I say miseducate our children, to take away the skilled trades they already had and get them to work as laborers on somebody else's job. A job is Job, and Job was persecuted. So why would you want to go to a Job? So all of these things, your Bible is coded, your Quran is coded, your Torah is coded. Then they tried to use the same Masonic coding system when they translate the Hindu's text. India is the largest, longest standing civilization on Earth. There's no civilization that's been as big as India that's still around. All of them collapsed. But what did they do different? Right? They got the records from the Septepi, the Forever Time, before the first pyramid was put up in Kemet. The Forever Time, before we start using time as a tool to regulate reality, they got the records. They got the Kali Sutras that tell you about the cycles of time and the yugas. Right? They got the Vamana Sutras that tell you about the Vamana wars. What the Vamana means ship, spaceship, flying craft. Right? And you can look this stuff up. And they had a couple of scientists took one of the designs from the Vamana Sutras and built the craft, and it actually worked. So they can't say it didn't work. They knew what they was doing. But it's just like what they was telling us about the Tartarian civilizations. Going back to the videos now, yeah. When you go and you look, all of our historical lineages was cut off the same time where all of these cities was catching fire. They was burning up our records. And that's why I say, if you want to know where your tribe was, trace your family back You're going to get to the mid 1800s, between 1830 and about 1870, and you're going to run into a dead end. They burnt you up right there. They burnt your paperwork up right there. That's where they cut you off at. Right? But they still got other paperwork. But they keep all of our archives in national parks. Right? They got cave systems in national parks used as storage repositories for the old information that predate the 1492 invasion. Because that's what it was. It wasn't no they discovered America. And their New World Order was the order of the ages to take over the world, the land of Tahuti. They think they can beat God. Let that sink in. They think they can beat God. So the paleface they left in charge to referee the two groups of melanated people that was trying to educate themselves above the condition under the Skull and Bones Society tried to hijack the agreement and step in and take over. That's when it all became obvious what was taking place. 3 knocks to a finish, 3 explosions. Remember, they blew up the buildings back then. In order to take over, they got to blow up some more buildings. Right? Though all that civilization, you can map the Great Floods, because some of them cities that was flooded is still underwater, but they still got the buildings. If you want to find the castles, look for prisons, look for mental institutions and state buildings. You'll see all of the old castles and all of the old buildings we used to use. They're the same buildings. In some places, like parts of Philadelphia and parts of Baltimore and Boston, you can see where the tops of the windows is just sticking out the ground. It's the top of the window. Right. Because there's a lot of the streets that we used to have was not paved, they was water. We would traverse them by boat. In a lot of these cities, they build dams in order to turn the water off. Right? Because some of these cities was like Venice. Right? They didn't like that. Because that make them remind them too much of being a Venetian. You got to get rid of the streets of water and change them for a harder substance. And that's why even right now, if you drive down the wrong street in a rainstorm, your whole car gonna be underwater because it's sunk back down. Right. So all that was to now once everybody get ignorant in the history of race and they start feeding us the false history, now they start matriculating us back into the educational system. Right. As we matriculate back into the education system, we just fighting for the right to be educated and had the equal resources of education. We didn't need to be at school with nobody else. We was doing just fine being in school with us. But it wouldn't have been school proper if they didn't put us in it to tear us down, sending our babies to hell. Roll the corn, Elder. Where we at?
More clips. Oh yeah, make a correction. The first state fair was in New York, and then the next one was in Philadelphia. The one in New York, they burned that down. The one in Philadelphia had a flood. Some kind of flood came through and flooded all the 200 and some buildings got flooded out, and then they had to be knocked down. So
one city had the Great Molasses Flood.
Yeah, Great Molasses Flood, the mud flood, like it was either a mud flood, water flood, or demolition or fire. And it was not no ordinary fires. It was fires that had some type of gasoline or some kind of stuff that make it burn through metal, like some kind of heavy duty. It had to be like some kind of heavy duty fuel that they use to burn these.
They don't have to be no heavy duty fuel.
Video as
with they mix kerosene with black tar. With black tar or with tree sap. And it burns slow. Real slow, but real hot.
That's right.
Roll the cornetta.
Okay.
Okay, here's the video as promised about the World Fair. My book is in decent shape other than this little mark right there. And the reason why I wanted to make this video was to show you guys the vanilla skies. You'll notice that in all of the photos it's brightened in the area above the skies and completely edited out. And then they did also create fake clouds in some of the skies. You can completely tell that these are drawn on there. I mean, I can tell. I don't know if you can tell. And there's almost every single picture I've gone through that has a sky either has these fake drawn on clouds or it has completely brightened or edited out. And if you go on ChatGPT, it will tell you the reason they did this was because their printers were incapable of doing the skies for whatever reason. They can do little tiny details of other things, but not the skies, not the clouds. The clouds are too hard. And even ChatGPT agreed that it's highly suspicious that they blanked the skies out. And then there's a lot of other people who claim that the reason they did this was because of all of the airships floating around in the... See, those are fake right there. You can tell by the corner. And it's brightened above the sky. And then you got more fake ones. Completely edited out ones. This one's been blackened.
History says the 1901 World's Fair was about progress, but what if it was History says the 1901 World's Fair was about progress, but what if it was really about control? In 1901, the Pan American Exposition lit up Buffalo, New York literally. Entire buildings glowing with electricity when most homes were still dark. But where did the power really come from and who controlled it? Massive structures built almost overnight, advanced lighting systems, experimental machines, and Nikola Tesla's ideas floating in the background. Wireless power, free energy, tech that could change the world. Then there were the elites, industrialists, politicians, financiers, all gathering in one place, behind closed doors, while the public saw only the spectacle. And here's the strangest part. After the fair ended, almost everything was destroyed. Why tear down something so advanced? Why not preserve it? Was it just temporary architecture? Was knowledge being shown, tested, then hidden? The 1901 World's Fair wasn't just an exhibition. It may have been a glimpse of a future we were never meant to keep. So ask yourself, what else did they show us and then erase? Follow for more forgotten history they don't like talking.
1800s and early 1900s can seem astonishing when you look at photos. Entire cities appeared in just a few years, filled with grand facades, domes, arches, and exhibition halls. At first glance, it feels impossible, but these events were massive, coordinated efforts backed by governments, investors, engineers, and thousands of workers using the latest industrial methods of their time. Many of the buildings were designed as temporary structures. They used wood frames, steel supports, and a material called staff. a plaster-like mix that could be shaped to look like stone but was faster and cheaper to construct. This allowed architects to create elaborate designs quickly for the duration of the fair. When the events ended, most structures were dismantled or demolished as planned. What looks mysterious is often a reflection of how rapidly industrial era construction.
It was a black civilization that was here. Now, to give you an idea when this civilization flourished 3,200 years ago, what was going on in the rest of the world at that time? Well, there was no Europe. There was only part of Greece. Troy was the big, powerful city at the time. There was no Rome. Egypt was a great power. There was a power going on in China. But more importantly for our discussion here, there was also a great power here in the Americas. We call it Olmec, the civilization, the first known civilization. It means rubber, and it refers to a great ball which these people used to make for a sacred ball game.
What year did Christopher Columbus sail the ocean blue? 1492. So somebody was here 5 years before Columbus. Here's your Judah lions with the crests. And don't tell me that the tribe of Judah didn't fall to the pagans who worship demons, because here's your demon. See the horn on his head? Like I said, the Templars are the Order of the Temple of Solomon. King's Highway, this is where I'm at. King Solomon.
The Thomas Petty Memorial Church. 1888, 1890, and it's starting to red. Make it make sense, doing. Oh, you come on, man. This is not a castle? Tell me this isn't a castle. With a Masonic dome on top? Is that a hybrid? Who's this chick? Named after Thomas. Is that it? Thomas Petty? Not Tom Petty, the singer. Some other name. The guy that donated that. He invented the pedicure. I love a good pedicure. I'm out here, foot to the ground. I'm gonna need it, Mr. Petty. Make it make sense, dude. Let's get into it. Hey, nobody. You think they built this in 1898?
I mean, there were castles and big, massive buildings in America before Columbus in 1492 and that whole story, before he even got here. So if there were already all these massive castles, massive buildings, and all these people, big people too, before 1492, then how did they have the technology while Christopher Columbus is coming over on his cute, Santa Maria or Pinta or whatever it was, those the 3 ships that they used? And where are those ships? How come we don't see those ships? How come we don't see those today? It doesn't make a lot of sense. Wouldn't those be put in a museum? Wouldn't you put the 3 most important ships of America in a museum? We don't see those either. And that's the thing. There's so many parts that are missing in which we don't see, but then we see all this nonsense over here. What about the Egyptian-like artifacts found in the Grand Canyon? Yes, same exact thing. So you have Egyptian artifacts in the Grand Canyon in Arizona. So were people...
History that we have been force-fed since day one and rip it right in half. So here we go. The photo description states that in the summer of 1903, construction continues inside the entrance to the Palace of Machinery for the Louisiana Purchase Exposition, the 1904 World's Fair. The date of this photo is in 1903. The fair in St. Louis was in 1904. So this would all...
Hey, we'll stop right there. Hey, Rod, I got a quick question, Rod. So, based on what we get now, if we had all these big ancient buildings over here, some of them still, for the most part, up. They burned a lot of them down. But if all these buildings was over here for 1492, and then even after that to the late, early 1900s, when did they come up with this slave narrative, man? I'm trying to figure out, if they still tearing down our major, they said that these were all. Go ahead.
Yeah, they took the war story and turned it into a victory story for the cat's paw. They had to make it look like somebody else had conquered us. We ain't never been conquered because we ain't never stopped fighting. If we'd ever stopped fighting, then you wouldn't see me right now. So we ain't never stopped fighting. So while we was fighting and they was quarantining us to the family farm that became the plantation, we lived on the family farm. That was normal for us. But it wasn't normal was to tell us that it's a war going on. If we get caught out there, somebody might capture us. And that's how they kept us with no fences staying on the family farm. You're not finna hold none of us.
The gun line.
Right. Remember, they didn't even start having guns that wasn't muskets until the late 1800s when they started making revolvers and stuff. In the 13, 14, 15, 1600s, they didn't have no revolvers. They was packing muskets.
Right.
It was somewhere between 1750, 1850 when they started making revolvers, guns that encased. And they got that from, we made them from finding their guns on the battlefield. How can we make this better? Right? But they get a credit to Europeans with pale faces, but we the ones did that. More Mississippians. Right. Once you understand how something works, you can improve it or you can make a defense for it. You just got to understand it. The first Gatling gun wasn't made by Gatling. It was a brother made the first Gatling gun. And then they just gave Gatling the patent. You got to remember, our intellectual property, just like the land. And they came to steal it all. It's why all of the inventions got pale faces on it. And we know historically by the historical record that they so-called servants, slaves, supposed to invented it for them. That doesn't make sense.
That's right.
You mean somebody got a whole family or group of people out here on the plantation enslaved and they all smarter than him? How they do it? Force alone wouldn't work. Right? Then all of the major horror stories of people being ripped apart by 4 horses and all that stuff, that all come from the islands. That don't come from the mainland mostly. Right? When we talk about the lynchings, that was the killing off of the people that was educated. The ones that had influence in the community. Them wasn't just no regular people they just decided to pick up and lynch them. Them was prominent members of our communities. It was the all-out assault on the ones that had the information. Anybody that was teaching, they was dead. All you got to do is look at the Bolshevik Revolution, because the Bolshevik Revolution was based upon how the invasion of America took place. Right? And the first people they killed was who? University professors, attorneys, judges, and other government officials. So why would it be any different over here? Right? And we didn't walk around in uniforms like they do. Our uniforms was based on our tribal cultural dress code. It wasn't based on all of the police got to wear this uniform and put this star. That's Machiavellianism. It's to give the people a false sense of superiority over other people by putting some shiny shit on their chest. You're not better than me because you're a 4-star general. I'll whoop your 4-star ass. Right? That don't mean nothing to me. I understand you went through special forces training and all that. I'm with all that. I got you. But you still not better than me. And I still will beat your ass with all your training. So when we looking at how are they taking this old group of people who knew who they were and make them forget who they were. If you go back to the Bible, you'll see that they was killing off Moses walking through the desert for 40 years was killing off the old folks.
Right.
Because he didn't want to take no old, stubborn, stuck in their way ass Negroes into the new world. So he wandered them around 40 years to get rid of the dead weight.
Wow. That's true, though.
40 years give you enough time to re-educate your children into the life mentality that they need to survive on the planet. Every tribe got customs. Everybody got a family tradition. That's your tribal customs. And once you realize that we ain't never stopped doing what we was doing, we recognize each other so easy then. And then we can clearly see the imposters. But when we don't think that we going along to get along with this outside interference, they over with. It's a done deal. Right? We didn't broke all three of the, we broke a 6,000 year conjure called Kingu. We brought a 3,500 year conjure called the Amen, and a 250-year-old conjure called the George Washington Challenge.
Right.
The lightning bolt on the Liberty Bell is supposed to be Enlil's symbol. That's why it's there. Right? But he ain't running nothing no more. It's a new sheriff in town. So all of the old systems are done. But that's consistent with knowing that everything has to come to an end in order to change the age. All of the old business from the old age have to be finished. Right? That's why we had to go find the descendants of the Haitian Revolution so they can close that conjure out at the close of the age, so they can go on and get. Now it's not Haiti no more. It's back to the I-80 now on the map. They're not Haiti on the map no more. It's I-80. That means the people have reclaimed their land. They home. Now they just got to organize themselves enough to rebuild. And that's why Trump offered the Haitians a free trip home. They ain't got nothing they got to go back home if they want to rebuild. Right? And then Haiti reaching out, and they don't want outsiders to build because of all of the shit they just went through. So they only want Haitians to come back, and Dominicans, they're the same people. They just on different sides of the island. One was influenced by Spain, one was influenced by France. Huguenots and conquistadors.
Hey, Rod, what you think about this clip right here, man? They just found this in Kentucky, man. And I said, man, that's quite interesting.
Is that the pyramid?
Let me scroll down to it real quick. Yeah. Like it's more than they unearthing a lot of shit in America where they finding out all these sites, right?
What do you think about the pyramids they discovered in Kentucky about a month ago? They've been able to clear the forestage quite quickly to expose them. And the scientific community is into a tizzy. There's two camps. Some are saying these are clearly Mayan. What do you think about the pyramids they discovered in Kentucky about a month ago? They've been able to clear the forestage quite quickly to expose them. And the scientific community is into a tizzy. There's two camps. Some are saying these are clearly Mayan. The Mayan must have made their way from Guatemala to Kentucky and built these. And others are saying, no way, these are different Native American or ancestry-age. Either way, I don't care. Like, I want to get to the bottom of it, but I just think it's cool that these things have been in Kentucky this whole time, right under our nose, just like right here under our nose, and we never knew about it until a month ago. And so I'm super excited to go there. They said they're opening it up to tourists here in a few weeks, and it's just...
Now, Rod, when they was trying to say that the King Tut tomb was found in Kentucky, and then the government and Smithsonian Institute was saying that it's a hoax. Now they finding this, they can't cover it up. What you say about that, Rod? That like all of this shit, the ancestors just popping all of this shit out, like these sites.
Okay, now we're moving into what we call the singularity. The singularity is going to make all of the bullshit fall off, right? but it's going to also make all of the real stuff be exposed and opened up for people to actually see for themselves. So a couple years ago, when we was telling them King Tut was found in Kentucky, people were scoffing. But now that they see a whole pyramid complex, they not scoffing so hard no more.
Right.
Right now they saying, wait a minute. It's possible that he could have been in Kentucky, and that could have been one of the pyramid complexes. Ain't no could have been. What did you just see? The thing is, there's a lot of stuff hidden in the trees. Right? But remember, everywhere where they wanted to conceal, they let the trees continue to grow. Everywhere else, they chopped the trees down to open up the land. They got us thinking that the what they call them, the Great Plains states. They got us thinking that it was just all flatlands, no trees. But then they got Paul Bunyan stories to tell us. They got buffalo trains. Who built the buffalo train track through all that land? What happened to the trees? There was trees there. There was trees all over. They allowed the trees to grow where they wanted the trees to cover up something. It's part of the war. They gotta anticipate what they think we gonna be looking for and figure out how to hide it. You heard of the Nobel Peace Prize, right?
Right. They gave Martin Luther King, yeah.
You know who it's named after, right?
Who was it named after?
Nobel was the guy that discovered dynamite.
Interesting.
In the 1800s. Before that, they used TNT, which was a more volatile explosive. So he came with dynamite that they can use smaller blasts now, because TNT, you got to blast it in a barrel. They show it to you in the cartoons because you got to have enough of it for the explosion. If you have a little bit of it, the explosion won't be as potent. You got to have a lot of it for it to be really potent enough to bring down the building. Hell, you can put a stick of dynamite in 3 parts of the house and bring the whole building down. Right? So Nobel was the guy who discovered the dynamite. The dynamite is what they put in the sides of the hills in order to create mud floods. Right? They blow it in the rain. And it'll create a mudslide like none other. Because it then loosened up more ground than would have loosened up on its own. It's the same thing with, they would build dams. They would dam up a stream that would run through a village, and they'd dam it up for 2 years, waiting for enough water to get in there to flood the village out. Then they blow it with dynamite. So you see why Nobel became an important character in a historical narrative. In his will, he put up $1 million in his will to start the Nobel Foundation that issues the prize. And that's why they traditionally gave him $1 million and a trophy when you won the Nobel Peace Prize, the Nobel Prize of Science. At first, it was only one. It was only about science. But then it expanded with the Peace Prize for humanitarian projects and stuff like that. But if you look at the time frame, like, here's a homework assignment if y'all want to be ambitious with the research. Get you a map of all of the world fairs, look at the year. And then see how long after that did they have a great fire.
I got them. I got them. I got that in my phone right now. I had took a screenshot of it. It says right.
The Great
I can read it.
Fires.
Yeah. Like okay, so right here it says the first. It was New York, right? So it says the New York 1853 World Fair Expedition housed the Crystal Palace, located in present-day Bryant Park, was destroyed by a massive fire on October 5th, 1858. So that'd be like 5 years right after the first World Fair. 5 years after they burned the whole thing down, October 5th, 1858. And then the next one was a hurricane. A hurricane that they said, well, it really was a flood. A flood destroyed the next World Fair. It was in Philadelphia, 1876. A flood destroyed that one. Some massive mud
Look,
flood.
1876, 1 year after the death of Crispus Attucks.
Wow.
And it was only a few years since they had implemented the second Constitution.
Wow. Then Chicago was the next one where they demolition over 200 buildings and said that they were temporary buildings, like pretty much made out of plaster. But they really wasn't. That's a lie. We already know that's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
That's
what year was the Great Fire of Chicago, and what year was that World's Fair?
I think it was 18. Hold on. Let me go back to the picture. It was 18. Come on. Chicago. It was Chicago was 1893. And the fire was right out, I think in the same year. Hold on. I'll make sure. Hold on. I got to see it out. Yeah, look. So this what happened, Rod. So they had that in 1893, right? But they saying that a great fire took place prior to that. That burned down, was destroyed over 17,450 buildings and over 100,000 homes. It was October 8, 1871. So that's like 20.
How many years between the two?
Okay, you're looking at 22 years.
Okay. Keep going. The Great Fire of Boston. Wait, do they have a World Fair in Boston?
Fire of Boston.
Wait a minute.
They didn't have a World Fair, but they didn't have a World Fair in Boston, but they did have a major event there that was similar to a World Fair, but like not a World Fair, but I think it was the Great Molasses Fire that happened there. Let me get that year. See, that was 1919 when that Great Molasses, when a big
the Great
tanker,
Molasses flood.
It crashed into some kind of building or something, and by random accident they said. But all this is staged. If you look at how it happened, it's all staged. If you look at the dudes
that's why we're looking at the years, because we're seeing similarities of catastrophic events in the history erasure. Now look, in the 1800s, when we do our ancestry, we always run into that roadblock in the 1800s. That's not no coincidence.
I heard somebody say that they had in Kansas. They had some records in Kansas. I heard the Empress say that. I heard a couple chiefs.
We did a show and showed them where they had it at before. The records that's in the cave. But that ain't the only repository. They got one in the northeast over there by in Maryland or Virginia. They got a state park. And in the state park, they got a raven, they got a underground bunker that have the records in it. It's in the northeast. I'm not exactly sure. If you look up Raven Rock, you got one in Colorado, and the other one is up there, and it's not too far from where that record repository is.
I know you talking about. I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's also a building. They got a whole underground facility under it that's connected with that same place you talking about. I did a tape on it, man. It was in a tape that I did. It talked about it.
And we also got to remember that the CIA office in DC had an underground travel to Langley, Virginia. Right? So they got all of the stuff packed away because they didn't think none else was going to know what side of the ocean we're from.
It's called Mount Weather. Roy. It's called Mount Weather.
That's the presidential bunker for to secure the president.
Mount Weather bunker in Virginia.
Mm-hmm. That's the one that they used to use in the early days to secure the president in the crisis.
Yeah. Then
they moved it. Now CENTCOM is in Arizona, not in Colorado now. It's in Southern Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Central Command. And it's connected to the Denver airport.
Mm-hmm. Man, it's crazy how I roll a couple more clips and then we can take a couple more. Then we'll get up out of here. I got a couple more hot clips.
Roll the corn.
Let's see what we got.
Made it to the World's Fair buildings where the World Fair was in 1904. First, we got the Missouri History Museum, Jefferson Memorial. I got a flight in a few hours, so I'm just gonna Uber to my flight from here. But yeah, we got about 30 minutes. Look through this joint. Finna go to the museum first, walk through, see the land. Jefferson Museum, Missouri History Museum. This is where the World Fair was. They said this building was built between 1901 and 1903. These buildings, and they destroyed 8 of them, 9 of them. Wow, let's get it, y'all ready?
You see, people, this is New York City, people. Flatbush Avenue and 4th Avenue, Hanson Place, Brooklyn, New York. 1898, people.
Yeah, they got the subway
127
train.
years ago, people, and the elevated trains are already there, people. How is this possible, people?
Since European colonists began settling in the land that would later become the United States of America.
Melanated Indians, descendants of the mound builders, why they got castles in the background? See, y'all just looking at this. People just looking at this. People just looking at this. What about that? What about that? Why that's there? They built it. They built it. I put a video up last year on my old page. It got it's the Grave Creek Mound in West Virginia. Got a big ass castle. Here go the mound, here go the castle right here. I told y'all, the people buried in that mound lived in that castle. Now it's a goddamn prison. Now it's a prison. I put that information on the internet, man. Ain't nobody do that but me. Now I see everybody talking about it. I told you that shit go together.
Look at this photograph from 1890. It shows the magnificent Stone Arch Bridge in Minneapolis. Notice anything unusual? The bridge spans 2,100 feet across the Mississippi River. Yet, when we examine the historical construction records, something doesn't add up. Official history tells us this bridge was built in just 22 months by a workforce of fewer than 300 men. But here's where it gets interesting. The bridge piers descend nearly 60 feet below the waterline, anchored into bedrock through layers of sand, silt, and solid limestone. Let me ask you something. How do you dig foundation holes 60 feet deep underwater in 1881 with hand tools and basic steam equipment? How do you pump out millions of gallons of water continuously while pouring concrete that somehow sets perfectly in those conditions? And more importantly, why do engineering reports from the period make almost no mention of the foundation work, the most difficult, time-consuming, and expensive part of any bridge construction? This isn't just one bridge. This is a pattern that repeats across hundreds of so-called 19th century bridges around.
Top 7 reasons why Yankee Stadium was impossible to build in this timeline. 284 days. Yes, it only took 284 days for the monumental Yankee Stadium to be built, and I think it was impossible. Construction started May 5th, 1922, and it ended April 18th, 1923. So that's 9.5 months. Number one, there were no modern cranes, there were no hydraulic lifts, and there were no concrete pumps. It was all manpower. 45,000 seats. The concrete and the steel alone would have took years to complete in 1922. Put it in perspective, that's 60,000 tons of concrete that was just moved by wheelbarrow. Period. Number 2, let's talk transportation. It was train and horses, and that's it. Let's not forget this was in the Bronx, and half of the streets weren't even paved. Majority of the steel came from Pennsylvania, so let's keep that in perspective. 284 days. Number 3, concrete. Concrete takes 28 days to cure. 28 days. And there were tens of thousands of cubic yards of concrete. That math ain't mathing. Number 4, steel fabrication. There were 20,000 tons of constructional steel needed to do the Yankee Stadium. And all that steel needed rivets. And guess what? There is no rivet gun. There is no machinery. It is all hammer and file. Number 5, no floodlights. And that seems silly, but it's not, because you cannot have 24/7 crews when you don't have lighting. There were no floodlights in 1922. So it went from dawn to dusk, and that was it. Stop. Worked over, go home. Number 6, New York weather. 284 days, meaning that you're going to run into New York winter. Winter in 1922 to 1923 hit below 32 degrees. You can't work in there because they didn't have a heating system there. They barely had hot water and tents. It's impossible. And number 7, it was just humans. It was just blueprints. There was no emails. There was no copying machine.
Okay, do y'all remember when I told y'all about the Brooklyn Bridge? This structure here that I told you they didn't build, right? Well, when I told you they didn't build this structure, I need y'all to understand. You see this piece right here, and you see all of this? That's what they did. That's what they attached to the structure. This structure here, they did not make, they did not touch, they didn't have anything to do with that structure. I'm gonna tell you exactly what this structure was for, and it wasn't for that. And I'm going to tell you how I know they didn't build this bridge is because they discovered a bunker in 2006. Now remember, this bridge was supposedly built in 1900, some 100 years ago, right? They built this bridge. But somehow in 2006, like 100 years later, they're just now finding out that there's a bunker inside. Now, is there a bunker inside of this? There's not a bunker. It's simply a Tartarian structure, and you know this thing, it goes all the way down into the ground, like all the rest of the structures do. But in order to explain that away, they tell you there's a bunker in it. But at the same time, what are they admitting? Y'all didn't build this. You know you didn't build this, because if you did build it, you'd have the blueprints for it, and you wouldn't have had to discover that there's a bunker in something that you built. Let's keep it moving. A Cold War bunker was discovered in Brooklyn Bridge in 2006 during a routine structural inspection. Discovered the bunker while inspecting the bridge's masonry foundations. Y'all ain't even know it was there. If you didn't know it was there, you know damn well you didn't build it. Okay, let's keep it moving, shall we? This is what the bunker looked like. Look, archway, archway, look, archway. Y'all already know. Y'all already know who built this. Come on, man. Come on, man.
So, and we went over that, Raw, remember, on the Tartarians, ancient civilization. So my question for you is, We know that they line about a lot of the structures that they couldn't have built 2 years to build all this up, or a year, 6 months to build a whole Yankee Stadium. So what do we do with this, Rod? Now that we know that, hey man, we wasn't wearing no dang on thongs and had spears and bow and arrows like the Hollywood movie show. We was already having high power civilizations with free energy, and they wanted to put us back into the Bill Matrix. We didn't have no Bill Matrix before they came. We had free energy. What do you say on that, Rod, for them trying to tear our civilization down and put us in the Bill Matrix?
People like to use that word free too freely. There's always a cost. The bill always comes due, no matter what you do. It's the law of the pendulum. Just as sure as you swing to the left, it's going to come back to the right, right? Which is the law opposites. The reason why they saying free, because stuff we pay for now is not the stuff we used to pay for. The only thing we used to pay for is other people's services in their profession. We didn't pay them for the product. We paid them for their services because they doing us a favor and we showing gratitude. And that's why we use gold. Metaphysically, gold equalizes the inequity in the transfer gold for something. Example, I have a $10 gold piece, right? And you have an $8 toy car. I give you the $10 gold piece for the $8 toy car. Somewhere along the line, somebody gonna give me back $2 worth of gold. It's gonna come back to me because it's the cycle. Gold is the only metal that seeks its own balance like water, right? When you look at platinum, platinum is a fixed position metal. That's why it's the hardest metal, because it's in its fixed position. Gold is mutable. That's why 24 karat gold, you can pinch it between your fingers. It's mutable, right? Iron is a fixed position soft metal. You can't pinch it with your fingers, but it got a lower melting point. So they all got different purposes. Gold is a metaphysical equalizer. That's why when you look in the temples in Kemet and ancient temples around the world, for that matter, you see a lot of gold. Because the things that was done, let's say, for instance, the king, ruler, whatever you want to call him, pharaoh, big chief, whatever, he needed a service. And he called in for somebody to do something, and then he give them a piece of gold. The gold that he give them might not be, it's going to balance out the inequity in the transfer from the king to the person that did the service. And that's what gold was so important, because it always kept everything on the level, balance. Left side, right side. Right. So silver also has a balancing effect, but it worked better for women than it does men because it's a feminine metal. And silver used to be how the women were paid. If you pay a woman in silver, it's a lot more equitable to her energy field than to pay her in gold. And that's why they say gold is the currency of kings, and silver is the currency of royals. What they mean is the silver was the currency of the women. And this is why when we talk about the ruling elite, you have the gold key and the silver key, and they cross. You even got it on the Vatican symbols. The gold key represents the rights of the rulership from the fatherland, and the silver key represents the rights of the heritable rights of the motherland. The silver key opens the vault. The gold key opens the kingdom. So you have to get both keys. That means that you have to be accepted by the king and the queen to be the next one in line to be the king. And it's following the blueprint. That's the holy drama that we see as the book of coming forth by day. They call it the book of the dead, the story of Horus and Osiris, the great Osirian. The great Osirian resurrection is about the close of one rulership and the beginning of a new rulership. 1101, 1110, born again on the flip. Where you go, L? Let me see if y'all got any questions in the comments. Lucia is also a negative spiritual currency. Yep. So before Moksha say, can you explain why most agreeable beings have no free will usually unless mixing in with grounded planetary beings? That's not true at all. But I'm gonna tell you this: most of the kind-hearted get bullied by the ones that's wicked because they got a good heart, and they the more good in them, the more suffering they allow somebody to put them through before they decide to put their foot down. And that's why I look like the nice guy finished last. And it's not about you got to mix with nobody. You just got to be yourself. Be true to who you are, and the people that come to you, no matter what they look like on the surface, they gonna be true to themselves. That's what you're gonna attract. And they might not always look the same as you. But a person that's true to the heart is true to the heart, wherever you find them at. Right?
Man, this sucker, man, this shit they cut off my damn laptop. The internet just cut off right where we was fucking recording, so I had to go back to the phone, man. They really jacking with us tonight. Or jacking with my shit, I don't know, man. But we got the point across. The point is that, hey, we know now that we was already advanced over here, and pretty much they did this insidious, grotesque, behind the scenes, stab us in the back and destroy all of our shit, and pretty much use paperwork. It pretty much was a paperwork, burn all of our shit records, and then create new records to steal all of our stuff, and pretty much reset us back into the Stone Age. Seem like.
Somebody got a good comment I want to read. It say 3 fires.
Go ahead.
This is Forest County, Pottawatomie, Milwaukee. Say 3 fires took place in 1871 at the same time and on the same day. Mexico, Wisconsin, Chicago, Illinois, and Detroit, Michigan. Appreciate that.
Yeah, we could read some somebody hey, y'all, hit that like, hit that subscribe button right now, man. We got about 2,000 people on, man. Everybody send Chief $5 right now, man. If you got it, send them 100. Somebody send them 25, man. Put them in the game. Somebody left for 50. Hey, shout out to I think it was Cynthia that left that super chat earlier. Hey, hook the Chief up, man. Get him right till we get back on next time. We got his Cash App and PayPal for those guys in London that asked about it. We got shout out them guys in London. Shout out our guys in South Africa and in Argentina that be showing us love. Yeah, but I think we pretty much, like, for all the stuff that we didn't cover, we got an AI tape on the video side, which pretty much give you a timeline on how it seemed like they went on a tour of destroying our major, because like if you look at all the cities they went to in this World Fair, it were major. When you go back and look at the old maps, they were major energy grids for our land. They were major. Those cities wasn't just, they were power plants or energy plants. These cities, the ones that they went around deliberately destroying. Go ahead.
Yeah, we had all type of, like, for instance, Cook County Hospital was the Grand Doula Center. It was ever since that building been there, it been there way longer than they tell you. Right? But it now is some kind of high-end resort type building, the same building. Any architect will tell you that the stone structure, you can get rid of all the wood and rebuild the wood part inside the stone structure without missing the beat. The main part of the structure is there. If you want to find the castles, look for the mental institutions, look for the prisons, especially the old prisons, then look for state buildings. State buildings like the like Congress Hall, that was like a small building for us. That was a little cozy gathering of tribal mothers. That's why it's called Congress Hall. Who else have a Congress? Mayors. What's a mayor? A female horse.
That's right.
Town mothers. So they have a Congress and mayors to vex their needs to the grand matriarch. Sitting on the seat. She sit there, and then that's where you get your adversarial, your prosecutor, defense attorney. That's not how we use that. They didn't turn to the switch it and use it. They use it like the devil advocates, because that's what they called in England. The barristers are called devil's advocates. That's why that movie Devil Advocate with Al Pacino, Keanu Reeves, I think it was Keanu Reeves was in there. Yeah, because attorneys are called devil's advocates in Europe. So over here, you had a person that asked the questions and the person that offered solutions. That's who they was. Right? They go, the one with the questions, she go get the question from the mothers, and she read the question out, and then the other lady get an answer to the question according to what the council came up with. That's all it was. All this old prosecuting you and having a defense attorney, nah. You came in and you owned up to what you did, and they tried to solve the problem. The women didn't punish you with prison. They tried to solve the problem. And right now, if they get in charge, the biggest problem is that they're trying to turn all the boys into girls. That's it. That's the biggest problem. And if you let them fix that problem, all they're going to do is try to find decent men to be mentors to the boys who got sissy-ass daddies. Right? So we going back to however we want to restructure it under the matriarchy. That's up to us. But we got to get rid of the old system. It has to go. It's not functional. It's deficient. It's been weighed in the balance and found lacking. It got to go. So since it got to go, we're going to usher it on out of here. All we got to do is get enough of us aware of what's taking place to energetically make the shift.
That's right.
And it's right here. We right at the door of the shift. All we got to do is make the move. Like Shalimar. Make that move right now, baby. Make that move.
And you know something I'm starting to figure out too, Rod, is that when they switched everything out, they had to like when they did the buildings and sort of set us back, they had to. Man, this wasn't no overnight thing. This was the storyline that they telling us they had to sell that we were primitive, or like we were living in teepees or hanging out of the trees, and like they had to sell that story in order to enslave us based on the doctrine of discovery, right? Because doctrine of discovery said if they were savages and beasts, then they don't got God. They don't got our God. We had our own gods, but they said that we don't got their God, so we savages. And so they couldn't justify that storyline with the type of building structures we had prior to 1492. They couldn't justify that storyline, right, Rod? The
They
family
have to
status.
remember they had to take our memory from us first,
Mm-hmm.
and then they had to give us the lie.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason why the lie can't work is because we always had discussions about stuff in our families that came through as the oral tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And if any one of us growing up that sat in enough our homeboys' mama house listening to the old folks talk while we playing our video games or playing our card games, we know the oral tradition. We just don't know we know it because they told a story. They just didn't tell it directly to you. They told it to you in code. But it's up to you to figure out by going through your own book of life how to regain your memories. Because that's what the game is all about. We go in there, right? They got metaphysical books that talk about this stuff too. I just can't remember the one that I want to remember which book it was in, because it said that none of us could come in this age in mythic form. Right? And what do that mean? That means that if they was a fairy, they had to be in the human form. If they was a minotaur, they had to come in human form. If they was a centaur, they had to come in human form. If they was a gnome, they had to come in human form. But you could still see it, the trait from the spiritual mythic self, which is the true self that's being projected and expressed through the physical body as a human. And you look around, you see people that look like aliens, right? Some of them, they were gnomes and they had to come in as a human. So when they get here, they ain't the cutest thing to look at. You know, you had ogres came in as a human. We might say that's a big burly mofo there, right? Because it came in as a human. There's another book that went over some of the other rules about recovering our sense of self, right? So when you going into the study of any kind of magic, you have to presume yourself to be the deity of the self, your I-ness. Why do you have your perspective as first person perspective? When you start asking yourself, why am I seeing the world from this person in the first person, right? Then you start cracking through the windows of confusion. They have to miseducate us, and we got to educate ourselves to the degree that all the attempts to miseducate us backfire on them. The backfire come in is when we can pass potent information through a pamphlet, like a Circle 7, right? Or like your Muslim enrollment lessons. That ain't no information, but it got a whole lot of information in them. When the average scholarly intellectual read it, this primitive elementary stuff. But if you read it with tribal eyes, you don't see the same thing the scholar's looking at. He's looking at what's called the rote word. You looking at the spirit of the person that's trying to relate a message as the means to discover what they're trying to tell you. He didn't tell us caveat emptor for nothing, buyer beware, and then give you a discourse on it in the Moorish literature, and it didn't have a meaning to it. But to them, it's just something he got from somewhere else. Right? Why, out of all of the chapters in Anti-D.I. Grant, why did he choose misery? Nobody want to know about misery. But it turns out that he told us about it because he telling you with the chapter of misery that you the only one strong enough to take the bullshit that you taking, and that's why you miserable. Because you can take it. Think about that for a minute. Can't nobody else take what we done been through.
Nope.
If you put any other group of people on the planet over here in the last 5 years in our position, they'd have did a mass bison herd off a cliff.
Yep.
They couldn't have did it. Nobody was strong enough to take and endure it like us. That's why he called us the salt of the earth.
Right.
Right? Because they know that when it comes to it, when the time comes, we're going to execute the game plan and we're going to be back on top whenever we get tired. It
Right.
just so happened we can only stay tired until all of our obligations is met. Right? Once our obligations is met, we don't have to take that shit no more. We done.
Right.
That's that for that. We did our part. Run that. We going to the window to cash in our chips. I'm not staying in Vegas longer than I need to be in Vegas. I done won my millions. I'm cashing out.
Get the hell on. Shit.
Bring
Get the hell on.
me mines. And the cashier up there stuttering. Well, well, just get my money so I can go. I don't want to be hanging around here and I ain't making no money.
Right.
Right. What do I have? What do I care about the casino for?
Right.
Right. Y'all seen me I'm here high rolling. You fed me, gave me my alcoholic beverages, tried to make sure I was sloppy so I can lose it all, and I kept winning. So you kept feeding me drinks and shrimp cocktail and lobster a la carte and all of it. You was bringing it all over there, anything I wanted, because you thought that as a high roller, I was just going to pay more attention to the amenities than the mission. I came in here to win money. Y'all here to take my money, and I'm here to stop you. And the casinos is not built on nobody winnings. They built off people's losses.
Damn sure right. The house always wins.
The house always win, unless they playing with somebody that can catch them cheating.
Yeah.
Now they want to negotiate.
Yeah, ban them out. Ban them. Ban them. Let them come back no more once he figures the game out.
Look, if you read the gambling laws in Vegas, I don't know why would I read that shit. Anyway, if you read the gambling laws, it's legal for the casinos to do something that's illegal for the customer.
Damn. That's cold.
Example is counting cards. The only way you can get caught counting cards is if the casino counting cards. That's the only way they would know you counting them.
That makes sense. Because they count them.
Yeah. When they count them, they gonna come up with the same math you do, and it's this son bitch counting cards. How they know you counting cards and it's going on inside your head? You ain't sitting on your fingers.
Yeah.
Right? They can't never prove it. But they can ban you for the suspicion.
Yeah.
But they know you counting cards because you keep coming up with what they coming up while they counting the cards.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then the dice magnetic.
Yeah.
If they can put in whatever they wanted to roll on, it's gonna roll on a number.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the roulette wheel. Right? Then you got what they call high turnaround games, like Baccarat.
Mm-hmm.
They were letting people win a little bit at a time. That's why they got betting limits. Right? Because you might win 1, lose 3, win 2, lose 6.
Mm-hmm.
But they gonna always stay up. But because you don't have to put up a lot of money, they get you on what they call an attrition model. They gradually siphon your money away. Slot machines are all digitally programmed on when to pay out, on how many pulls to pay out on.
I used to work at that place. I know. I used to work on them.
They tell you that.
Yeah,
but if you know how to bypass the counter, because there's ways to do it by the way you pull the lever, and they catch you doing it, your ass out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to be the one that kicked the people out.
Yeah.
They get caught. I was a security guard at the boat down in Louisiana.
Look, when you playing in the cheater's house, the cheater that mastered all of the cheats you finna try to cheat, so he gonna catch you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of when, because he cheated too. And that's why I know all of these professional sports is rigged. The reason why I know that is it's too much money changing hands in Vegas and Atlantic City about these games for them
Damn
not to
sure
know
right.
the outcome in order to adjust your motherfucking win-loss ratio. How they know how many points to give you on a point spread?
Yeah, you're so right, Rod.
It ain't guesswork. They know exactly how many points to give you on the point spread. And they know how many people gonna win and how many people gonna lose, and they gonna change the point spread all the way up until the game start. It's not gonna be the same. Based on the bets is how they adjust the point spread. But the initial point spread they set before the game, it's gonna change because people gonna start betting, and it's gonna outbalance one side over the other. The casinos is gonna first take what they call house cut off the top.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they pay out the winner, right, they still had a certain amount of losers. They want the most people bet to be the losing bet and the least people bet to be the winning bet.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So all that stuff is built on, they go all the way back to Sumer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Money
They was playing all them gambling games back then. Like two-ball cane was a game, and it ended up being used as a teaching model. Left bump, right bump, straight bump. Right. And it was to teach them boys between three good men. Right? He got to be, if the straight bump on 9 out of 10 gonna be his pops or his grandfather, he gonna be the one always telling him the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Telling him how a man supposed to operate. Then he gonna have a right bump. He gonna agree to be straight up with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got a left bump. He gonna try to knock you off your square and to get your attention. Right? So when you know who your left bump, right bump, straight bump is, you caught your two-ball cane. That's them three ruffians that assaulted the master builder, Hiram Abiff. And the stone that becomes the chief cornerstone was the black stone they rejected.
Mm-hmm.
And it all comes full circle.
Hey, Rod, somebody said, just before we get out here, we're going to get out here. Somebody said, I have a network that I'm building for conscious community. How can I keep it safe spiritually?
It depends on the intent of the people that you let participate. Right? The reason why it's more easy for me to do this on social media than to have a brick and mortar structure is because of the design of the society is in direct opposition to a brick and mortar structure and gatherings. But we can have the biggest gathering in the world over the internet. I could talk to more people over the internet than I could in the brick and mortar structure. And I don't got to talk to them all today. Some of them can catch me tomorrow or the next day or at their leisure.
That's right.
Some of them still ain't heard of me yet. Sooner or later they hear about me and they come and look and see what I'm talking about. And then, oh yeah, I can get out with what dude talking about. He's talking that knowledge talk.
Mm-hmm. Hey, what I was gonna say, hey, y'all hit that like button. Everybody said Chief something right now, man. Put him in the game so we hold him down to the next time. Yeah, everybody saying $5, $1, $10, $100 if you in the game, 25, 30, whatever you got. We don't care. What I was gonna say, Chief. Yeah, my phone about to get ready to go there. I left the damn chores in my other office. I got 5 percentage. But I think we pretty much got our point across today. Notice the agent, notice the principle. We know now about the World's Fair's cover up and how they destroyed all of our buildings and confiscated and seized all of our ancient technology and pretty much reset us back into chisel and hammer and fucking pitchfork and hole into the garden holes and shit. But we had tractors with steam engines and electric fucking engines way back in the 1800s. And so we on to the game, man. We just picking it piece by piece, picking it apart piece by piece. You want to say something before we get up out of here, Chief? Y'all, everybody hit that like button right now. Y'all hit that like button before y'all get out of here.
Nah, yeah, you covered all the bases.
Yeah, we're gonna be back with more, man. We're gonna be back. They tried to cause technical difficulties tonight. We still made it through. But like I said, we got an AI that's gonna pop up when you if you stay on. When I hang up, it's gonna take you straight to the AI I just put out. There's an overview on this tape about it's a timeline on how they went on a tour, pretty much going to all of our major cities, burning them down and tearing them down in the 1853 all the way up into the early 1900s, and pretty much reset us. Then I noticed right after they did the last one. The last major one, that's when 2 years later, the Rockefeller General Educational Board start, 1903, 1904. As soon as they get through wiping all of our major cities out with fires and floods, next thing you know, boom, now our whole educational system is reformed with the Rockefeller indoctrination and the Inquisition. Well, they started the Inquisition is way back when they started the Indian boarding schools. But you know what I mean? Yeah, that part. But we about to get up out of here, y'all. Peace to all the matriarchs on the land. Shout out Dr. Kia Pruitt was in the building tonight. Shout out to all the matriarchs on the land, Empress Redbird, all the empresses, right? Shout out all of our political prisoners and chiefs on the land who's still being held right now. Dr. Malachi Z York, Larry Hoover, Jeff Ford, to name a few. We out, y'all. One love, one heart, divine love throughout the balanced universe to all. Hey, don't forget to send Chief something, y'all. We got the Cash App on the screen right now. For y'all don't got Cash App, we got PayPal. We out, y'all. Peace.
What do?
Never have it been made so clear.